Hello, and thank you for being here. I am the former classroom teacher turned homeschooling mom and private reading tutor behind Little Otters Learn. And here on my YouTube channel, as well as over on Instagram and my blog, I offer different homeschooling topics and tips, as well as curriculum reviews like this one. So I have been on a quest to find a U.S. history curriculum that was both inclusive, that was historically accurate, and that was engaging for our homeschool. And I went on Instagram and I had requested a number of different samples from curriculum companies. And then I decided that out of the samples, I chose a handful of them. And I wanted to really be able to see the curriculum in its entirety. I know that a lot of curriculum creators prefer that you do your review, you base your review on the curriculum in its entirety. So you can sort of get that big picture view. Obviously, a lot of these curriculum companies are very generous in what they provide their sample, but if I'm going to be reviewing it both for myself and for my audience here, I really prefer to have the whole piece of curriculum. So I had tagged a few different curriculum companies. Some of them reached out to me. I reached out to Blossom and Root and asked if I might have a copy of the entire curriculum to review. And Christina was very generous. She is the creator behind Blossom and Root and A River of Voices, which is the history curriculum for Blossom and Root, and she provided me volumes 1 and 2, as well as all of the supplementary resources. So I do have the full curriculum here. Out of respect for Christina and what she has created, I will just be limiting my on-camera view to what you see in the sample. So if you go to Blossom and Root's website, you can request a sample. I always recommend doing that for any piece of curriculum that you're going to be taking a look at. So this is volume 1 of A River of Voices. This covers the first European colonies to 1791. Volume 2 covers the 1790s to the 1890s, and volume 3 is coming, but there is no set date. When you purchase this curriculum, you're going to be getting the parent guide, which is really like the heart of the curriculum. You're going to be getting a link, a document that has all of the clickable links. You are going to be getting the student notebook, which is incredibly helpful and really important to the curriculum as well. And you're going to be getting a book of centuries or a timeline notebook. So this is a complete secular history unit. Christina found, she describes it here in her introduction, that in teaching U.S. history to her own children, despite having a box full of books that were recommended in various homeschool groups, none of the books really told the whole story, and several were just downright false. After a few frustrating lessons, she decided that she was just going to stop using that curriculum and completely develop her own. She says that for my daughters, I wanted history to be not the babbling stream of a single and dominant narrative, but a river of voices. And you will notice that throughout this curriculum that there is a commitment to stories, narrative, the experience of people, voices, and connections, and that emphasis is placed as a higher priority over dates and events. She uses a plethora of resources to do this: nonfiction texts, historical fiction, picture books, websites, videos, and so much more. There are 36 lessons within this curriculum, but she does offer a few suggestions for how you can schedule it out. There's the traditional schedule where you're just covering one lesson each week. It would span a 36-week school year. You could instead do 2 lessons a week, and you would cover it in 18 weeks. If you school for 36 weeks or more, you could incorporate volumes 1 and 2 in one school year. You could also take a more relaxed schedule where you're just kind of, setting your own pace. She does describe how to plan out each lesson the easy way. You're going to be going through the lesson, you're going to preview the resources, and you are going to choose from this expansive menu of options. You're not going to do every single thing that's listed here. It would take you forever. Instead, you're going to highlight the ones that sort of suit your interests, your style, your kids' interests. The curriculum has these 3 steps. There is the absorb component, and absorb is really referring to the lesson foundation. She refers to it for the minimalist in the curriculum. And this is where you're doing some readings, you're going to watch some videos, and she has listed websites that you can visit. You could stop there. But in addition, you have the option to incorporate other other fiction readings, historical fiction, and narratives. And that's all in this initial step. The second step is explore, and this is where you're going to be using the links that she has provided. There's hands-on activities, there's projects, there's video links, and there's just recommended websites that you should take a look at. Again, you are not going to try to do every single one of them. If you are someone who requires the style of curriculum where it says day 1 you're doing this, day 2 you're doing this, day 3 you're doing this, you are going to need to really make this curriculum work for you. I love this type of curriculum. When I write my own curriculum for kids, this is actually exactly how I lay it out. I have our reading from our spine. I include video links. I have websites that we're going to visit. I design web quests for my kids. And then her final step, step 3, this is something that I do in my own homeschooling curriculum. You are recording, or I should say your kids are recording. So they are using some sort of notebook strategy. Maybe you're doing oral narration, maybe you're doing written narration. You're using a scrapbook, you're using a journal, you're using a timeline notebook. You're asking the child to sort of digest what they have experienced and to sort of say back what they have gained from this particular lesson. She provides this permission to go off grid, which she mentions on another page. And it's just the idea that if you have a particular interest or your child has a particular interest, you should explore that. You should take the opportunity to follow that rabbit trail and explore more. So in this particular step, this is step 1, you are going to be absorbing and experiencing some information. So you can do just the minimalist, the lesson foundation. You can then, so this is kind of like your spine. Category 2 for the book basket folks, this is where you're going to incorporate some additional reading. She has a very, very extensive list of picture books. You do not need to read every single one of those books every week. There's a lot of them. What I would do is in my monthly planning, I might kind of map out my core or my spine reading for each day. I might then go into this category. She has a great book list, and I'm going to go on my library website and request some of them. The next category for the visual learners and for these like hands-on and map activities, this is the explore step that she describes in the beginning. So you do your readings, category 1 and 2. You're then going to do something based on the reading. So you're going to visit a website, you're going to watch a video, there's some hands-on activities. And then you're going to be recording, or your child is going to be recording their ideas. So the primary goal of this stage is to allow your child to record their thoughts concerning the topic that you investigated together in the previous 2 steps, which again was the reading and then the more hands-on activities, the websites or the videos. I had mentioned this earlier, but you could do oral narration, written narration. You can use the notebook that she provides in the curriculum. You could do some scrapbooking. You could do a timeline notebook. We use our School Nest timeline notebook. She has a version, a book of centuries here with the curriculum. There's 3 different pathways that you can choose from. There is a gentle pathway, which is recommended for kids in grades kindergarten through 2nd, or more sensitive learners. There's the standard pathway, which is meant for grades 3 to 8. And then there's the advanced pathway, which is for older learners and parents. If you are doing the advanced pathway, you're also doing everything that's listed in the standard pathway. So this is kind of like an extension. The gentle pathway that's meant for younger learners is different. Okay, so here is her permission to go off grid and follow the rabbit trails. I'm going to kind of lay these out. This first part 1, the first European colonies, starts with the native people of the Northeast. Again, this is all in the sample that you can request on her website, and it has 4 different parts within this first unit. Okay, when you purchase the full curriculum, there is much more that goes with this page. For the gentle pathway, the standard pathway, and the advanced pathway, she has pages and pages of books. They are, and it's just an incredible list of resources that you're going to want to choose from. She always has like the spines listed here, and then she has additional books that are more historical fiction. I'm going to flip over through these because I already showed these to you. So here's the initial book list page for the standard pathway. Again, there's many more pages that follow this. You have your required books for the standard pathway. This is like what's you might consider your spine. This is the minimalist approach, what you would cover for that. Then in addition, there's some suggestions for Revolutionary War spine. So when you're studying that particular time period, you have some more options for more historical fiction. And then here is the partial book list for the advanced pathway. Remember, if you're doing the advanced pathway for older learners or adults, you're also going to be covering everything in the standard pathway. And then here's a book list and resource list for parents. Each part has this incredible overview, which is really kind of framing that chunk of historical time for you. There is a description on where you're going to be going with the gentle pathway, the standard pathway, or the advanced pathway in that particular time period. There's an overview of what you're going to be reading, what you're going to be learning about, and just a reminder that she has suggestions for some read alouds. She doesn't list lesson by lesson like what pages to read. The idea is just you're reading these throughout that particular part. Okay, so here is the first lesson that she shares in the sample. This is Native People of the Northeast. Each lesson opens with a very brief overview. Then you have this bar here to sort of set off this foundational piece. This is for the minimalists. If you are doing nothing else, you are going to make sure that you do these particular readings. Again, for the younger crowd, the gentle pathway, the standard pathway, and the advanced pathway. If you are someone who really likes to do a lot of reading, she calls it for the book basket folks, this is what you're going to be reading in addition to this more spine nonfiction here. We're still in that step 1 that she refers to as absorb. It's the lesson foundation. And then as you go into the explore section where you're doing more hands-on activities, you have some information pertaining to different websites that you can take a look at, some YouTube videos. She has all of these in a separate document that are clickable links, so you could just have that up on your browser. I like to print curriculum, so I would print this, highlight the videos that I'm actually going to watch, and then on my computer I would have the document with the clickable links so that I could just easily press play or go to the website when we're doing the lesson with my kids. Then you have some additional activities that you can do. This is the step 3, which is record. This is where you're doing something in a student notebook, or maybe you're doing something with the timeline notebook. The student notebook, she has a sample of in here, so I will show you that. I do my own approach to notebooking where we do oral and written narrations, and then we do like an illustration on the opposite side. I have used Blossom and Root notebooks before. I think that they're really nicely done. They're very user-friendly. If you are in a season of life where you just want everything laid out for you, I think that that's definitely the way to go. And it's a good way, she's the one who has designed this curriculum, and using the notebook, you're kind of making sure that you're staying true to what she thought was sort of the highlights and the most important elements. This is jumping to lesson 3 in the sample. Again, you can see the introduction. You can see the readings that you're going to do initially. If you are someone who, and I would encourage you to do so, check out from your library a number of these different picture books. There's a list there. You have your visual learners. So here's some websites that you're going to take a look at in videos. Moving into advanced pathway 2, and then some activities that you can incorporate. And then your student notebook. So I'm not going to go through the rest of the lessons that she has here, but I'm going to flip so that you can see some additional elements. So here's a sample of the clickable links document. This is very helpful. In fact, Christina said that more so than any curriculum that she has produced, this one is requiring the most updates as far as the links are concerned. So she's in the process of updating the links for volume 1 now, and also making the volume 1 formatting the same as volume 2. So I have both volumes, and I can see that volume 2, the formatting is a little bit easier to follow. I think there's something to do with the font and the spacing. So she's updating volume 1 to be to kind of mirror that approach. Here is the student notebook, and you can see that it's very kid-friendly. You have an initial prompt, the lesson title here. You have a space where they can draw a picture, and then they can do an oral or written narration here. There's some mapping activities. I think mapping and geography is important to any study of history, so I appreciate that she has added that in. And then you can see that same format, the lesson name, the prompt up here, a box where you can draw, and then their part where the narrative is going to go. Okay, so thank you again to Christina for sending me the full volumes 1 and 2 of A River of Voices. It is a very well done piece of curriculum. There are so many resources. Just remember that this is a menu of options. You are not expected to work through line by line and cover everything, read everything, and show everything. You're going to go through this and highlight the ones that you want to do with your kids. This is definitely an inclusive curriculum that incorporates a variety of voices, and certainly in these times, we need pieces of curriculum that cover U.S. history in an accurate way, but also that highlight the activists, highlight the points of resistance throughout history, so that we can instill a sense of hope and activism in our own children. If you have any questions about this curriculum, please let me know down below. If you have used a similar curriculum, feel free to comment below, or you can message me on Instagram. Thanks all.